you consider the teams that he played for, the players that he played with. It certainly is a one-of-a-kind kind of career. There's very few that were able to breathe that air. So once again, to have someone like this join us here on rawmike.richards.com, we are just thrilled as we await and hopefully Skype. Let's hope it comes. Oh, there it is by the magic of that sound once again. And we go to Las Vegas, Nevada, and talk to the one and only Bernie Nicholls. Hey, good morning, Bernie. Thanks so much for joining us here this morning.
My pleasure. How are you doing today?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. And I would say, how are you doing? But you're Bernie Nicholls. I mean, you got to be doing it. And then when I talked to our legendary friend Scott Sutherland, I said, Suds, where's he calling from today? He goes, well, Bernie now lives in Las Vegas. I go, Las Vegas? So you get to be Bernie Nicholls.
Just part-time.
Yeah, just part-time. Yeah. So, so immediately, as soon as I say that, and people watching here this morning are thinking, well, he must have something to do with the brand new team. So that would be my first lead in. I don't think necessarily that's the reason for the move, but maybe you're going to tell me something different.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I know some of the people here, Murray Craven. I know Murray real well. He's working with them. Still a Kings fan at heart, but it's going to be exciting. I think they'll do well here. Hopefully, the city supports it. I know fans will definitely want to be making road trips to support their team down here. So hopefully it should be good.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that, Bernie. The vibe in the city, because you guys are about 3 weeks away from selecting your expansion team. Is there like the talk shows there, the newspapers, are they kind of jumping on board? Has kind of Vegas kind of consumed the NHL and what is going to be a brand new franchise come October?
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, they obviously don't know who they're getting, but it's been on the news all the time. The new building is beautiful. Talking to Murray, they're sold out for the first 3 years, which obviously is going to be huge. So their practice rink's almost done. So, and you know what? I think with the amount of players that are available, I think they're going to have a really good team. Like, I think, good goaltending, they're going to get that. They should have a lot better than the last time. I think there was 2 teams picking. So, I think they're going to get a good start. So, with any franchise, I think, you win, people are going to support it. So hopefully they get a good draw here and end up doing pretty well.
And Bernie, you bring up a really good point, because I think of, and we'll start with goaltending, of who could be available. Now, just sort of standing back, third party, looking at what's going to happen. Is it conceivable, for instance, that Marc-Andre Fleury could end up wearing those colors? Oh,
absolutely. I think it's safe to say now, he came in and played great. But I think, obviously, he's not the number one goalie there, and I think that they will probably won't protect him. So he could be. I thought for a minute that Bishop would be when the Kings took him, but they moved him, a couple weeks ago. So, but yeah, what a great way to have a goalie like Fleury to be your number one goalie here. So. That'd be definitely a great start.
Yeah, I definitely would. Bernie, how much of the Stanley Cup playoffs have you been watching as far as, we see a nice story developing in Nashville. They're going to their first Stanley Cup final. We have a Game 7 tonight between the Sens and the Penguins. Do you get a chance to watch a lot of NHL while you're doing everything else that life has to offer?
Oh, absolutely. Still love it. I haven't missed a game as far as that goes. I get them all, watch them all. For the most part, think it's great. Another Game 7 tonight should be, there's nothing better than playing in the Game 7. And like you said, with Nashville, they're actually they were before their best player got hurt, but what they've done in the playoffs, and I've seen it before. I was fortunate to be with the Kings in 2012, an 8 seed. We just get in and then take a run like we did was something special, and you see Nashville's doing that now. They're so fast, and probably the best player on the ice night in, night out is their goalie, and which has to be. So what a story, and what a fun run to watch.
We're in conversation with Bernie Nicholls here on rawmike.richards.com. And speaking of the goaltenders, I see that there was an interesting exchange between yourself and some former officials about just what the hell is goaltender interference, because I got to be honest, and I do carry my goaltenders association card with me, always part of the Brethren, and I'm on a nightly basis a little confused on exactly the definition of goaltender interference, because it really has twisted a couple of the games and it makes it a little confusing. And right now, if I asked each of the individual players, I'm not so sure it's defined that they know what goaltender interference is.
Well, and it's not, and that's the issue I have, and I've seen it during the playoffs. The problem is I'm not sure what there is. It's either 40 or 80 officials. I think there's 40, whatever. You can't leave it up to them, because every individual is going to be different. I think they have to have a committee in Toronto that, the same as goals. It has to go to them. I've seen it both ways. Like in Anaheim with Kessler in the crease. I'm with Gramps here, and you can see he's got his arm on his goalie pad. He can't make the move, and they call it a goal. With the other night, I didn't even see goalie. I don't know. He's kind of pushed in. He's fighting for the puck, and now they don't call it a goal. And I know for a fact if it was Ottawa, and it happened to a guy in Ottawa, they're counting the goal. They're not disallowing that goal. So, to me, it's so inconsistent. Like poor Edmonton, one game they had 3 goals that shouldn't have counted. Yep. That cost them the series. Mm-hmm. They should have advanced to the Western Conference semifinals, and because of officiating, they didn't. Like if I'm the owner of the team, or if I'm part of Edmonton, I'm livid with that. 4 goals in 2 games. 3 goals in 1 game, offside, icing, goalie interference. You know what I mean? So to me, it's so inconsistent. I go out of my mind watching, and like I say, I don't even have any skin in the game. I'm just a fan, but to see that happen, I know what the players are going through, and same thing happened against Pittsburgh, against Washington the night Sid got hurt. They scored to tie it 1-1, didn't count it. Goalie interference. And then the other night, to me, it's so inconsistent, and they got to take it out of the referee's hands and put it in someone, because, like I say, you got too many people. Your definition of a goalie interference may be different than mine. You know what I mean? So one night you call it goalie interference, next night I call the same thing no. So, I think it has to have a committee, and someone else has to make that decision. They got to take that out of the referee's hands.
I completely agree, and we've talked about it on this show before, Bernie, where I think the thing that pisses me off even more than this is not only do they get the call wrong on the ice, they go to a video replay and they still screw up the same call where
right.
Everybody's watching, and I'm like, what is going on with this video review committee?
Well, and to me, I have 2 problems with that right there. It's like, if I make the call on the ice, I'm not going to go all of a sudden, no, I made a mistake. A lot of guys won't do that, and like I said, or it's you're in Ottawa. Like I said, if it had been Ottawa who scored, no chance in hell he's reversing that call. There's no chance. So that's why I think it has to be taken out of someone else's hands, or out of their hand, and put into a couple guys in the war room in Toronto. Like, there's no way, because you got to have the same couple people making that decision every night, because then you only got 2 guys making a decision, or 3. So yeah, it's I love the fact that the referees don't have their names on the back of the jersey. You don't want to know who's reffing the game. You don't want to hear from the referees. And and you're talking about like and with Sid, like they're ripping his helmet off. They're punching him in the head, like even little punches. Like that stuff. You want to clean up the game. You got to clean it up. You can't let that stuff get away with it. Like for anybody who's watching the game, don't think that hockey isn't violent and people aren't trying to hurt people out there. that's bullshit if you don't think that. They're absolutely trying to take guys' heads off. They're hitting with the intent to hurt. They always have. That's one of the reasons I love the game. It's physical, but referees let little stuff go. Just the other night, the guy right in front of the Pittsburgh bench went livid because of that, and everybody sees it. They let it go. A little punch to the head. Well, some guys in the league, any little punch to the jaw or the head, that's automatic concussion for some people. So, they just got to clean that up. They got to be a little more consistent, I think, in the game.
So Bernie, in the day, was it a little easier there where you have a star player like Sidney Crosby and maybe you have a Marty McSorley on your team? A lot of that stuff probably wouldn't have happened.
No, I agree. And you know what? And I've said this different times, and even with Connor McDavid there when they got Lucci there. Obviously, his year this year is a little more, normal, I guess, where people aren't beating the hell out of him every night. I've seen it before. I would get the toughest guy, and I would advertise it that you touch my guy, and this guy in the bench, the foam's coming out of his mouth. He can hardly skate. He's beating the shit out of your best player and the person who hit him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or it just has to be, that they want to clean up, they want to stop it. Well, they can stop it. The punishment isn't. They don't punish people enough for that. If they every time that you did something like that, the referees could stop it. Same with injuries, same with shots to the head or hits from behind. They don't punish them enough, so they continue to do it. They find someone. I forget who it was this year. I think it was in the playoffs. He got fined like $2,500. Really?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give them 2 games, hurt their team, and you stop it. That they say they want to take the cheap shots out of the game. They want to do this and that. Well, no, you don't, because if you did, you would, right?
Yep.
So, and like I said, even the game the other night, and I'm going with Sid just because, and not that he doesn't do stuff too, you know what I mean? But it's just the stuff you see. I don't know how many times during the game he gets cheap shots. He gets pinned in the boards, and people take cheap shots at him. Well, and it happens to other players too. It happened to Connor for a while. It will happen to a lot of skilled players. Well, the refs have to stop that, and they can. You punish them, you get a couple goals scored against them, they'll stop doing it.
We're in conversation with Bernie Nicholls here on rawmikeRichards.com. Bernie, we had an NBA analyst in here the other day, Leo Routens, our Canadian who went down to Syracuse, ended up playing for the Philadelphia 76ers. He's the analyst now on TSN. And we started talking about LeBron James and just the greatness of a player in a league on a given team. In this case, it's the Cavaliers. And he said, the one thing in comparison when people talk about LeBron and Michael Jordan is LeBron seems to have this switch that does go on and off, that you can tell when the switch actually goes off, and he's good enough that when he wants to ramp it back up again, the switch goes back on. And he said Michael Jordan didn't have that on. The switch was always on. It was never off. Now, you play with Wayne Gretzky. If we're looking at that on-off switch, was it ever on-off? You know what's funny with Wayne, and it's awesome as far as I'm concerned. I remember playing different games, right? We'd be up after the second period, 4-5-1 or something like that, right? And I go, okay, well, game's over, shut her down. And Gretz is like, okay, we need another one. Like Gretz, the one thing I love about Wayne, right? He's seen blood. He's seen we'd ripped the heart out of the team. Now you kick him. You just stomp on him. He wants a 6, he wants a 7, he wants the 8th goal, right? Yeah. He doesn't stop. And for the most part, hey, I've been in a game we're up 5-0 with 12 minutes to go in third period and won in a playoff game, 5-0, and we win 6-5, right? Like it's never over till it's over. Mm-hmm. The Super Bowl this year, that game should have been over.
Yep.
Atlanta, there's no chance in hell they don't win that game. Even late when they should have run the ball and kicked the field goal. But I mean, it's not over. And one thing about, and I knew Michael really well too. They don't quit. They want to stomp you, and they want to continue to do that. Gretz wants the game. He doesn't want to win the game 5-3. After winning 5-1 going into the third period, he wants it 7-1, 8-1. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I love that, and that wasn't the way I thought until I started playing with Gretz. Like I said, for the most part, the team you're playing with, you rip the heart out of them. It's 5-1. The game's over to them. Game's not over to Wayne. Game's not over to Michael. They're gonna blow you out, and enjoy doing it.
It's interesting, Bernie, looking at the teams that you played for and the cities that you played in. And I look at, because you're a Halliburton guy originally, right? You're a Halliburton boy?
That's right.
So,
yes.
So you go to a Los Angeles, you go to a New York, and you think now that in that time, those are world cities, especially New York. So it's not a fit for everybody. I don't care what age and what stage of your career that you're at. I mean, talking to obviously. The temptations to do a lot of things, certainly back in the 70s and the 80s, people didn't have cameras in their phones, having a conversation I had with Derek Sanderson, he's like, thank God that they didn't have that, because it would have been a very different kind of career. So when people say, hey, what do you think that temptation is going to be in Las Vegas? Well, I think when I talk to these young players, I know you do on a regular basis, I don't think it's the same kind of wiring that we had back in 1979 or back in 1984. I just don't think those guys are wired the same way. They're very guarded, and I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a problem.
Oh, not even close. Like, you think for 1 minute you can't get in more trouble in New York or LA than Las Vegas? For the most part, Las Vegas is gambling. We gambled on football in New Jersey, in LA. You think there's not bookies around? You think you can't get in trouble? You think you can't go out to bars in New York or LA or Chicago, any city, right? Like, the thing about boys now, like, they fly into a city the night before the game, for the most part. After the game, they're gone. But what harm would it be? You got the night in Vegas. Let the boys go out. Let them go to the casino, and play cards half the night, or whatever they want to do. Like, there's nothing they can do in Las Vegas that you can't do anywhere.
Right.
Like, so I don't see a problem. Like I said, nowadays, I remember when I played, when I first started, you come in after a game, there's a case of beer in the floor of the dressing room. Now guys have their water bottles, they have their protein shakes.
Yeah.
They fly into a city, they chartered in. They don't go out to the bars after or before games. Like, man, there's a big difference. So I see absolutely no problem. Because, like I said, and I've been there. You want to get in trouble, any city. Some of the cities you think are boring cities, trust me.
Wait.
You can get in trouble anywhere you want.
Wait, Bernie, even Ottawa, Ontario, Canada?
Oh, Edmonton.
Okay. Because I lived in Ottawa, and I couldn't wait to leave. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was a quiet city, and where the arena is located and all the other fun parts is on the other side of the city, where really, if you're a traveling NHL team, you're flying in, you're going Canada, you're staying in a hotel there, you're not going to the Byward Market down in downtown Ottawa. And a lot of people look at that as maybe the dud of the NHL. Is there any other cities that kind of compare with that?
Yeah, like Ottawa could be maybe the worst city in the league as far as that goes, right? Like, because you are way out too. I just go the opposite. Like, Edmonton was awesome. Vancouver, great city. You look at Philly, you look at
see Dallas. See, I'm a huge Dallas fan.
Dallas is awesome.
I love that town.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Dallas was awesome. So. Yeah.
I just needed to hear the accent and then lie about what team I played for. And it's like, geez, a 48-year-old guy at 5'8". I didn't realize you were in the league. Oh yeah, I've bounced around a little bit. Me and Marty Turco. You know Marty Turco? Oh yeah, we're big friends. Now here's another $20. Dance some more. I mean, that's real. I mean, I love me some Dallas.
Right. Yes, Dallas, great city. And they even had they even had a club just at the rink that was pretty good too.
The old Reunion Arena.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, in the West End. Yeah. That's
And how about when we first started in Florida? It was Miami.
Oh God.
We played, right by Miami Beach there. So, I'd take if you wanted a night where you get in trouble. I might take Miami Beach over Vegas any day.
Yeah, now was that the Bernie Nicholls with the long flowing blonde locks days? Oh yeah. No, you're doing well.
Yeah. Well, it was trimmed up a little bit by then, but yeah.
Oh well, and Dave Bastel said he recalls a time in Winnipeg where you showed up and you had a full-on pink suit.
Yeah, Bernie, you rocked it, man. I'm from Winnipeg originally, so I distinctly remember because you remember the Los Angeles Kings teams you played on. You guys were a traveling rock and roll show, so you were in every single town one night only, and you walk out with this full pink suit, and the people in the area just stared at you like they were looking at some sort of Greek god, and the look you had, the blonde hair, man, you had it going on, and you know what, you still do today.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what's funny, right, is because Marcel Dion was on our team then, right?
Yep.
And I'd be like Mars would be like the people in Winnipeg there. He would see me come in, like some nights I'd come in, I'd have like a 3-piece suit on, I'd have a top hat, and I'd wear sneakers or something, and I would drive Mars absolutely nuts, because he was by the book. He was just pissed. I think maybe he was more pissed that he couldn't pull it off and I could, maybe than anything. But oh man, that was funny. Yeah, you go shopping in California sometimes, especially, and being a small town boy and from Canada, and the Canadian people, they look at that and they go, oh my God, like what's this guy wearing, right? Or you're in California to start with playing hockey. They can't buy that, but then you see this guy come out in pink suits or top hats and sneakers. They don't know what to do. And Mars was the same. He was funny because he tried to find me every day for stuff I wore, but it was still fun.
Bernie, it's been a great conversation here today. Just a real thrill that you've joined us here on the program. Best of luck to you, and we're actually thinking of getting down there and trying to do a remote out of Vegas for all the wrong reasons, I can tell you that. And, boy, if you're kicking around, we'd love to talk to you again, but it's been a real pleasure here today.
Absolutely. Anytime, guys, you want to talk playoffs or anything, just I'm available.
Fantastic. Hey, thanks,
Bernie.
You take care, Bernie.
You got it, guys. Thank you.
The legendary Bernie Nicholls talking to us here today on rawmike.richards.com.
What? Did we just become best friends? Yep.